So genetics, when we use what's called Punnett Squares to determine offspring, it's a probability. We're basically just kind of trying to figure out what are the chances of something happening, okay? So we're trying to figure out what are the possibilities of offspring having a specific trait if I know who the parents are, okay? I could either know the parents' genotypes or phenotypes with specific homozygous or heterozygous attached to it, and then I'll be able to figure out what traits, what possibility of traits the offspring can have. I'm not going to ever know that if I have a baby, my first baby is going to be this. What I'm going to know is that every time there's fertilization, there's going to be this much percent chance that the offspring will have these traits, okay? So we're going to practice this because that's what you're going to have to use on the test, okay? So Punnett squares are basically diagrams to help you predict the offspring, like I was saying. Here's how we're always going to perform the Punnett squares, okay? I always have to give you a scenario. So in this case, I'm saying purple flowers are dominant to white flowers. What letters are we using? P. P's, because we always use the first letter of the dominant trait. And I'm going to ask you to cross a hetero purple with a white, okay? So the first question we have to ask is choose the blank of the blank trait. Well, we know that. I already answered that. The first letter of the dominant trait, yes? What is the genotype for this parent? Cross a hetero purple. Raise your hand if you could tell me. What is the genotype for hetero purple? Capital P, little p. So let's put it right here. Capital P, little p. What's the genotype for white? Lowercase p, lowercase p. Put it next to that, okay? We're always going to choose the capital letter for the dominant trait, and that shows the dominant trait, and the lowercase letter will show the recessive trait. So Punnett squares work like times tables. If you watch this animation, A times A is capital A. Well, I should say capital. Little a times capital A, right here, would give you capital A, little a, right? Capital A up here times little a gives you capital A, little a, okay? So this is going to keep playing for you to keep, well, not in your case, but if you watch the video, obviously. So you could see that. Now, I always have to give you a scenario, and I always follow this pattern. I always put the first parent on the top and the second parent on the side. It just makes it easy for me to always remember I have to put one parent up here and one parent down here, okay? So purple flowers are dominant to white. We're going to cross a hetero purple and a white. So the first thing you have to say is, what is the genotype of the parents? What's hetero purple? Uppercase P, little p. And what's genotype for white? Lowercase p, lowercase p. So the first parent is going to go up here. So I'm going to put a capital P here and a little p here. The second parent is going to go on the side. Little p, okay? Now I'm going to ask questions. Who could tell me what goes in this first box? Raise your hand. Look what's here. Yes. Capital P, little p, okay? Who can tell me what goes in box 2? Little p. Box 3.
Capital P, little p.
Capital P, little p. Box 4? Little p. So we did the Punnett square. Now I'm going to ask you questions about the Punnett square. We want to know what is the genotype and phenotype percentages for offspring, okay? So who could tell me what the genotype percentage is? 50% what? Good. 50% capital P, lowercase p, and you could write half or 50, whichever one you want. What else? Good. 50% little p. What are the phenotype percentages? 50% purple. Good job. I could also ask you one more question. What is the percent of the offspring being homozygous? 50%. What's the genotype of those homozygous? Little p, little p. What's the percentage of the offspring being heterozygous? 50. What's the genotype? Capital P, little p. We're doing good. We're doing good. Same scenario. Purple is dominant to white. Now, the parents are different. I want to cross a homozygous purple and a heterozygous purple. Okay? So remember, I always say my first parent is going to go on top. What's the genotype of a homozygous purple? Just say it out loud. Homozygous purple. Capital P, capital P. So that's going to go on top. What's the geno for heterozygous purple? Heterozygous purple. I have to talk loud. Capital P, little p. Good job. All right, who can give me box 1? Raise your hand. Good job. Capital P, capital P. Box 2. Capital P, capital P. Box 3.
Capital P, little p.
Capital P, little p. Box 4. Capital P, little p. Good. Who could tell me the genotype percentages for my offspring? Raise your hand. Melanie.
50%. Yeah, 50% capital P and lowercase p.
50% capital P and lowercase p? And?
50% capital P, capital P, capital P.
Awesome. Who could tell me the phenotype of the offspring? 100% purple. Do you see how it could be different? Okay. 4 out of 4, 100%, whatever you want to call it. That was a ratio. Who could tell me what percent of the offspring is homozygous? 50%. What's the genotype of that 50%? Capital P, capital P. Who could tell me what percentage is heterozygous? 50%. How much? I mean, what's the genotype? Now, I want you to keep in mind, what this Punnett Square means is that every time this parent and this parent conceive, they have 50% chance of having offspring with the genotype PP. They can have 25 kids and all 25 kids come out with capital P, capital P. Because every time you conceive, there's a 50% chance, and it's chance. And that's what genetics is. All right, one more Punnett Square, and then you're on your own. All right. Same scenario. Let me see. Do I have a new scenario anywhere? No. Same scenario. New parents. Homozygous purple and a white. Who could tell me the genotype of the parents? Awesome. Capital P, and little p, little p. So I'm going to put my first parent up here, which is homozygous, and my second parent, which is also homozygous. And I didn't have to mention that in the scenario because if you're white, you have to be homozygous. There's no other genotype for you. Who could tell me what goes in box 1? Melanie. Capital P, little p. Box 2, right here.
Capital P, lowercase p.
Capital P, lowercase p. Box 3. Capital P, lowercase p. Box 4. Capital P, lowercase p. What's the genotype of the offspring? Just say it. 100% capital P, little p. What's the phenotype of the offspring? 100% purple. What percent of the offspring is homozygous? Homozygous.
None.
0. 0. What percent is heterozygous? All, because homozygous means you're going to have either 2 capital letters or 2 lowercase letters. Your alleles are identical. Heterozygous means one allele is capital, one allele is lowercase. They're different.